Hey, this is Taylor L. I've been watching the documentary of O.J. Simpson Made in America for the past week, and I can tell you it is a great documentary. It's a must watch. The film is about O.J. Simpson. It talks about pretty much his whole life, from childhood when he was in the projects to how he goes to USC and he kind of abandons his black community to his professional football career on into his acting days, and then it gets into a little later, it starts talking about his mistakes in his relationships, his affairs, his domestic abuse, and then it talks about the trial of the century, the trial where O.J. Simpson is accused of killing his ex-wife Nicole Brown and Ryan Goldman. And then it talks about, in part 5, the last part, it talks about how he gets acquitted of the crime of both cases, and it talks about how they started selling memorabilia, or people started taking his memorabilia from his house because they were searching, and he just wanted to get his property back, is what he said, but people were taking it and selling it, and he went into a hotel. It was the Plaque Hotel, Plaque Hotel, and he goes in there, and it's an armed robbery, and he threatens them with a gun and robs all that memorabilia back and takes it, and he ends up getting sentenced for armed robbery. And he just got out of jail recently in 2017, but they don't tell that in the documentary. But back to the documentary, it starts off as he's a kid from the projects, tough childhood, and when he's always been a freakishly good athlete. That's just the way it describes him, as he could run, and if you watch the runs, he had a run against UCLA. It's in the documentary. It's called The Run. It's one of the greatest runs by a running back in college football history. Well, he goes to USC, and people kind of turn on him a little bit from the black community for, they say that like he could have had a bigger impact on in society, like standing up for them. But what happened in 1968 is where the black athletes decided to boycott the Olympics, and OJ was a track star, but he did not run track because he played football. And when he played football for USC, so he wasn't going to go to the Olympics. So pretty much, but they asked OJ, would he have competed, or what if he agreed with what they said, and he said he didn't. They asked him if he was black, or if what he called himself, and he said, I'm not black, I'm OJ. And that created a really big controversy, and that's going to be a bigger controversy when we get on into the trial area, because OJ, when it gets to the trial, pretty much, if you look at the evidence that happened in the crime and what actually happened, there's his blood, Nicole Brown's blood, Rod Goldman's blood. They're all in the Bronco together. They're on the gloves. They're in his room. All evidence lines up to O.J. Simpson. But his defense, which was a great defense, took the case from about the hard facts and became a smear campaign against pretty much the whole LAPD, because LAPD from the late 60s all the way throughout 70s and 80s and still in the 90s had a bad tendency of being extremely racist. And there are videos where they had beaten black people and had them lined up on the curb for no reason, and they used that, and they pulled Officer Furman. There was a Detective Furman when he was doing the case, and they pre-hauled up his past history and changed the case from being about the facts of the case, and they talked about how he was a racist and how he had racist tendencies in the past, how he used the N-word and stuff like that. Talks about it in the documentary, but he says that he has never used those words in 10 years before, and he had apologized for his mistakes, but they constantly tried to frame him for the murder and how he placed evidence there. And so they pretty much smeared him and made him look extremely bad. He framed OJ because he had racial, he was a very racist person, and he tried to frame him with evidence. And so that's kind of what they did. They kind of played a race card. When OJ, when he wouldn't stand up for the black community when they needed it and the things were going on, he did not stand up for them and defend them and help change. Instead, he just said, I'm OJ, and he hung out on the USC side of campus with the white people and act like he was better than everybody, and when he really could have been helping his own community. But then when he comes and he's in trouble, and he needs he pulls a sympathy card and he attracts to the people in the jury. He pulls that card out. I thought it was very messed up on how he did that. If you look at just straight evidence and facts, O.J. Simpson killed Nicole Brown. It's no doubt 100% fact. He killed Nicole Brown and Rob Goodman. There's no doubt about it. Why would a man be talking about suicide and talking about stuff like that and being so scared to death about freaking out if you didn't do anything wrong? Why would that happen? Why? There's so many things that he did. It is honestly probably one of the worst. I would compare it, if I had to compare it, to the Casey Anthony thing. How she got off on not killing her daughter that should have never happened. But what the defense did, not only did they do the smear campaign for the LAPD and make them sound racist and everything, they also did some of how they handled the case with cross-contamination. Some of the forensic evidence, it got passed along to each other. They showed it how it was swapped and kind of got messed up. The evidence did. So how reliant is that evidence? I mean, if it's cross-contaminated, it's not good enough evidence to convict somebody. So there are things that they did that went in OJ's favor when he's really a guilty man. And it shows, not only do you have all the evidence, the physical evidence, forensic evidence, all that, the DNA, the blood matching, the gloves, the glove behind the house, even though they said Furman planted, he didn't plant it. OJ's blood's on it. OJ's blood's in his Bronco with Nicole Brown and Rod Goldman's. That didn't happen. OJ Simpson killed them. And to make it even more obvious, OJ had motive to do it. It says in the documentary how he had motives, going back to where she called for domestic violence. OJ was married to Nicole Brown. He left his other wife for Nicole Brown, having an affair with her, got married to her, and then he started bragging about affairs with other women while he was married to Nicole Brown with kids. And then she ended it with him. After the first case of domestic violence, she ended it with him. And then she started hanging out with another guy who was OJ's friend, or kind of his friend. And then OJ finds out about it. And OJ is called again on the cops and is placed under arrest, but he flees the scene. But he gets away with it because he's OJ Simpson. That is what I cannot understand. Everybody in this country is equal. I don't care if you're an athlete or not. He was given such unreasonably fair treatment. Like, it wasn't even fair. Unreasonably unfair for his advantage. Like, it was... The way Nicole Brown was treated in this thing and her family is a disgrace. It is honestly a disgrace. It is honestly ridiculous. She was abused by OJ multiple times. They didn't do anything about it. He literally abused her. She's got whelps on her eyes, and you can constantly see it. And the officer said, "I'll place you on arrest." OJ goes in his house, changes, and goes out the back way and drives off. That is so ridiculous. That is honestly... How does that happen? I don't know. That guy should have been fired. That blows my mind how that can honestly happen. And stuff like that is just really, that kind of leads to Nicole. They didn't do anything, so OJ felt invincible. He felt like, I could do whatever I want and get away with it, like he did. He killed Nicole Brown and them and got away with it, guilty-handed. That is what I do not understand. I could not understand. And pretty much, close it out here, but go back to what really got me is how, I will kind of explain it. OJ was from the projects as a kid. He was from there. He left, it says in the document, he left and went to USC. USC is like the big rich white alumni. They pride their football. They're your big lawyers, doctors. He left the projects, went and played there. In the Coliseum, it says one side's USC and one side you don't go. You don't go to because it's the projects on the other side of the Coliseum. And when they asked OJ, they asked him about that. What about all these systemic racism that's going on in the streets and all that kind of stuff that was happening in the late 60s? And he declined it. Like, he didn't care about it. He said, I'm OJ. He didn't care for standing up for his community. But when it comes in 1995, his defense goes and plays the race card that they were racist. Yes, they were. They did certain things. But to make that sufficient evidence to get him acquitted, that Mr. Furman planted the glove back there behind his house, even though in the Bronco it's got OJ's blood, Rob Goldman's, and Nicole Brown's all together, and all the evidence is lined up. OJ's gloves at her house with their blood on it. How does that even make any kind of sense that O.J. Simpson is not guilty of that crime? How does that happen? That really blows my mind. That's what gets me time and time again. O.J. Simpson is a compulsive liar. He lied his way to get out of everything. He's jealous. Even his friends. I forgot to even add that. His friends even admitted. Ship and Allen both admitted that O.J. Simpson killed her. Ship said he wouldn't testify at first, and he finally testified because he felt so bad about it. Felt so bad about what happened, he had to testify against his own friend. He knew his friend killed him. O.J. even said thoughts about saying, yeah, have I thought about killing her? Yes. They wrote a book later, and it pretty much had a confession from O.J. It is a total disgrace and shame to the family of Nicole Brown and Rob Goldman that their lives went in vain, that they did not get justice. And that is, this documentary really, it makes O.J. Simpson look guilty, but it makes him look guilty by facts. It was factually documented, and they expressed the facts in no biased way. If you watch the documentary, it's a great documentary. You need to watch it. But it expressed it really was no bias. It was just facts. And it shows every reason O.J. Simpson was guilty. It really made me mad. I wasn't even born, but if I was born, I'd been even madder then. That a guy like that, just because he's popular, just because he's the greatest running back, just because he ran for 2,000 yards, just because all that, his fame and popularity got him, it gave him the publicity, and it got him off. He had the money. Also, he had the money. He was paying his lawyers $50,000 a day. Nobody realizes that. He's paying $50,000 a day. They called him the Dream Team, is what the defense team was called. The Dream Team. That, O.J. Simpson, we'll just close it out with this. Like I said, it's a compulsive liar. He's jealous. When Nicole was messing around with other guys after she left him and gotten the divorce and left him for good, he got jealous that she was doing that, and went back and abused her, and then eventually ended up killing her. And that's what happened. And it is an extremely sad deal for her family and for his family to go through that. That is just, you can't even put it into words. And that guy's a free man right now walking out in the world, it's honestly sickening. It's extremely sickening. And that's all I got to say about it. But it honestly, ESPN Plus, 30 for 30, O.J. Simpson Made in America. Tremendous documentary. Absolutely tremendous documentary. It is it provides the facts, and it lays it out how it is. And I'd like to see some other people's opinions. I mean, maybe mine's just a little too harsh. Maybe I'm not seeing but I feel like in the trial, pretty much the prosecution thought they had such a good case. And they did have a great case with physical evidence. But the Dream Team, the defense team, that's why they call them Dream Team, took the case from, let's not prove that he's not guilty. Let's not prove that he's not innocent, but let's not prove that he's guilty. I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but like, they took it away from the facts is what they did. And they went to prove why you can't convict him as guilty. Not that he's innocent, but why you can't say he's guilty. They put a little bit of reasonable doubt in there. They put the smear campaign on the LAPD that framed him with systemic racism to plant the glove and do stuff like that. They went to say how they cross-contaminated this cases and how that you can't convict somebody because you don't know the reliability of the evidence. They did certain stuff like that just to create a little bit of reasonable doubt. Not saying O.J. didn't kill him, but how can you convict him? And that's kind of why O.J. got let off, even though it's very hard for me to believe that O.J. Simpson did not kill Nicole Brown and Rob Goldman. And it's a sad deal. So ESPN Plus, 30 for 30, O.J. Simpson Made in America, 5-part series. It's great. You need to go watch it. And that's about it. Thanks, guys.